All right, folks, welcome to another lesson with Mr. Flores. Today we're going to be learning drawing parts of the face. And we're going to draw a realistic nose and a mouth today. So a very easy way to start off to draw a nose. And I'm going to show you some do's and don'ts. And I'm going to start off with this example right here. And I'm going to show you how it says to draw two parentheses. I like to call them a forward C and a backward C. Draw the nostrils. We're going to learn how to draw some blending and some shading. And we're gonna end it off, pretty, everyone's nose is gonna be a little bit different. And the nose we're gonna draw today is just a regular round nose, not extra pointy or very low, just a normal nose. And when we draw our noses today, make sure that we draw them maybe about the size of our thumb. Make sure they're not the little itty bitty Barbie nose doll, all right? So let's go ahead and start off with, I like to call them two C's or parentheses. And so it might take some practice to draw them. And when we draw it, it's just a gradual C, not a huge one. And you just kind of have to guess what size or how far apart they might be. All right. And let me show you some don'ts. Okay, so some don'ts off to the side. So make sure they don't look like this. All right, they're not completely half circles. That's way too big, and that sort of looks like a cartoon nose. So make sure they don't look like that. All right. And when we draw noses today, we're not going to be making cartoon noses with a little nostril that we're used to seeing. All right, we're going to make some realistic noses. All right, so we got our two parentheses, and now we're going to draw the bottom of the nose and our nostrils. So do not connect these two that I'm about to do. What you're going to do is draw the small nostril, and that's just sort of, let me see, like a downward C or like a little arch just right there, okay? And now we're going to create just a small U right underneath. And don't make it too dark because just in case you might need to erase. So these I drew very, just medium light. I didn't press very hard on my paper. And I'm just going to connect them with a small little arch, downward arch, like a happy face. And there we go. And remember, these are not connecting. So make sure there is no connection. All right, make sure there is no connection going on right here. All right, cool. So we did our first step of drawing our nose. Now the next thing to do is all shading, all right? Some people's first instincts are when doing the parentheses is to draw just a nose coming down or to draw two sides, but that doesn't look right at all. So we're not doing that, okay? So what we're gonna do is very lightly, the light sketch you can ever do. And we're gonna be drawing some blending right here. We're gonna be using our finger to blend, okay? And so we're gonna go straight down with our pencil. And we're just going to just barely just scratch the paper coming down in between that nostril and that lower arch. So just barely, I'm not even drawing a line. I'm just barely scratching the paper to make a mark. And we're going to do the same thing with the other side. And we're going to go straight up and down. We're not curving it. They are going to be parallel. All right. And what we're going to do is pretend the light is shining straight down onto our noses. The light is going to reach or hit the very first thing it sees, which is the arch of our nose, okay, and the tip of our nose. Anything else off to the side, all right, is going to be shadowed in, all right? So let's go ahead and put our pencil on its side. Notice I don't have my pencil straight up and down. It is on its side, and we're going to just blend and go back and forth. And I'm putting barely any pressure onto my paper in order to make that shadow. And do the same thing on the right-hand side. And then now, after we've done that, and again, I just barely put any pressure onto my paper. Even if you have a mechanical pencil, you're going to do the same. Now I'm going to get my finger, and I'm just going to blend all that in. And we have a nice blending, a shadow of our nose. Notice how there's no line anymore. I kind of erase that line by blending it in, okay? And now we're going to make, and I want you to notice these pictures right here. There is a roundness to our nose, okay? And our tip of our nose is rounded. And we don't, some people like to draw circles. So we're not gonna really draw a circle because I don't want it, we don't have like clown noses. So what we're gonna do is draw a pretend circle just by putting our pencil on its side and doing some shading, okay? So I'm gonna draw just a half circle on the left and on the right-hand side of our nose. And notice how I'm putting barely any pressure, just enough to darken it. And now I'm gonna get my finger again and blend that in, okay? And we're also gonna blend in the side of our nose right here because the light is really not touching the back of our nose. So let's put some right on the opposite side or the outside of our C or the parentheses. And I'm gonna shadow that in, blend it in. Very good. And I'm gonna do some blending right underneath the nose because the sun isn't shining underneath the nose unless you have a flashlight underneath your nose. So let's go ahead and shade that in. And we blend it. Now I kind of erase these marks on the left and right hand side. So I'm gonna go ahead and darken that in and put some pressure onto my pencil. We don't have to put a lot of pressure, just enough to darken it in. And our nostrils, let's go ahead and darken our nostrils in because our nostrils are, you know, the holes in our nose. So I'm gonna make just a small, darken it in like a thicker line, just right here on the left and right hand side. Okay, and I'm just gonna draw a smaller line just to make it a little bit darker. Perfect. And I'm gonna go ahead and blend that in some. All right, folks. Also, let's do some highlights in our nose. So a highlight, remember, the light shines down onto our nose and the first thing it hits is the arch and the tip of our nose. So let's go ahead and get our eraser and we're going to make a highlight right in the center of our nose, our arch. And then in the tip of our nose, we're going to do another. We're going to just do a round one, like a circle. And then just a little bit on the left and right hand side, just a little bit of erasing. And I like to do is just kind of go back to it and rub that in so it's not so obvious that there's a super bright shining light. And there we go, folks. That is our eye. If you feel like you messed up, just go ahead and erase. If you need to go pause and rewind, you may. And you can always make this nose a little bit darker on the left and right hand side, and the arch, and the roundness of the nose. And I think that's a pretty good nose. All right, folks, I can't wait to see how yours turn out.